Okay, I only have 2 audience members because the third one had to leave, and I had another third one lined up, and they got called out to a meeting. So I am back down to only 2 audience members, and I'll show those now.
Hi.
I'm going to be giving a speech that is an honorary speech of someone that I know. The year was 1944, and it all started with a spirited discussion on the merits of tooth powder versus toothpaste. Dorothy Marie Perry was 15 years old, and she was on a double date with a girlfriend of hers and 2 young men. There was one of the men that was on the date was Jack. He was a young sailor who was 21 years old and attending Westminster College. He was the date of Dorothy's girlfriend. But when the discussion ensued on the merits of the tooth powder and the toothpaste, Jack and Dorothy decided that they both liked tooth powder. Therefore, they switched dates, and that's how they came to be a couple. For the next 6 years, they corresponded and dated, and in 1950, they married. Dorothy Marie Perry was known as Suzie. It was a nickname that was given to her by her father when she was a little girl. He called her mom Big Sassy Suzie, and he called who we know as Suzie Little Sassy Suzie. Jack and Dorothy, who I will refer to from here on as Suzie, Jack and Suzie dated and married in 1950, and they had 3 children, Malia, Craig, and Mark. I met and married Mark in 1989, and that's when I met Suzie. She was the most amazing mother and homemaker that I've ever witnessed. She had the ability to see the value and to get such great pleasure in doing tasks that quite often, even still today, society discounts. She understood and embraced what her part of the family unit was. Tasks that other people would see as menial or perhaps say that she was submissive, but that's not how she saw it at all. She and Jack married, they fell in love, and they had a family, and they had a partnership. And that was her place. She did it with great pride and honor, and she always did it with a smile on her face and love in her heart. Mark and I went on to have 3 children, and it was always so funny and rewarding, actually, to watch Suzie around the grandchildren, because she always made each of them feel as if they were her favorite. I guess that the joy that I love about her so much, one of the things that I loved, is that even, like I said, with her tasks of housework and cooking and being a wonderful homemaker, the tasks that some would say were simple, but she had the ability to see the joy in simple things. And she taught that to my children. Always. She was always a constant reminder of the beauty of the here and now and what's right in front of you, whether it was a rock or a squirrel eating corn on the deck. She amazed me. She was amazing to watch in her beauty, in her simplicity, in her grace, and in her constant, in the consistency that she had of just staying true to who she was. She always found time for the kids, for all of us. when we would be down there visiting, and the house would just be noisy, and everyone would be running different directions and downstairs playing pool with Grandpa, and she would have a meal going on the stove, and might be doing some housework, but she always found time to incorporate a little fun time for the kids. They always knew that she was special. When I was preparing to give this honorary speech about Suzie, I asked my 3 kids, I said, I'm going to be doing a speech, and in a minute I'm going to give you a word, and when I give you a word, that word, I want you to tell me the one word that comes to mind, and then a sentence or a phrase that also comes to mind. And then I said, Suzie. My son Gentry said playful. Couldn't be in a bad mood around her. My daughter Halston said grace, and that she was modest about her vast intelligence. My daughter Brittany said soft-spoken, pink lipstick, pimento and cheese, which she was the master at making, and metal saltine container, which she always kept the saltines in. She was probably one of the most modest and talented women I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. She had a college degree. When her children were younger, she went back to school and got a certificate for teaching, in which she was a substitute teacher, but that was always secondary. Being a mom and a homemaker was always her primary. That was her primary relationship and her primary job. A funny thing that I remember also about Suzie is that in her being modest, is that, like I said, sometimes when we were there, we would go downstairs and we would play pool. There was also a ping pong table down there. And this is something that we did quite often when we would come to visit. Suzie had one speed that I knew her at for all the years I ever knew her. It wasn't fast, but it was steady as the day is long, from morning until night, with one exception. One afternoon, Grandpa was downstairs playing pool with one of the grandkids, and a couple of the other kids were playing ping pong. And Suzie followed me downstairs. And I said, do you want to play ping pong with me? Just to make her feel included. Because she had been upstairs, cooking supper. And she said, sure. She grabbed a ping pong paddle. And to my amazement, this woman started playing ping pong like I have never seen anybody play. And the whole time, she had a grin on her face like someone who is a pool shark who set someone up to take their money. She never missed a beat. She was giggling as she did it, and she never missed the ball. I couldn't even play. I was laughing so hard in amazement that this woman could play ping pong better than any of the rest of us down there. She just giggled and continued. I tell this story sometimes now, and I've told it recently to Jack, her husband, and I was recalling the memory, and he said, "Really? I don't remember that." He didn't even know she could play. So none of us know how she could play, where she learned to play, but she was good and she was quick. The other talent that Suzie had that is told so, it's funny and is told so eloquently by her daughter Malia, is that Suzie had the uncanny ability, she was a master at picking up a thread of a previous conversation, sometimes days later, and she'd pick up right where she left off. Nobody in the room would have a clue what she was talking about, but she would. And I guess Malia says that the most famous one was she and Jack were on a car ride, as they did sometimes. They would just get in the car on Sunday and just go drive somewhere. And I guess during the car ride, Suzie turns to Jack and says, "I think it was 7." Jack says, Susie, what are you talking about? And Malia laughs uncontrollably when she tells this story because she says she thinks it was a conversation about windows. We don't really know, but Susie was forever doing that. And the kids would say, Mother, what are you talking about? And she would just grin because she knew what she was talking about. I feel very fortunate to have known this woman, to have had her influences in my life. And in conclusion, there's a couple of things that I would like to say and a poem that I would like to read. Mark and I divorced. Susie always continued to treat me as family and to let me know that I was welcome. And she never wavered on the relationship that she and I had. I used to call her Susie. Susie, my girlfriend Susie. When I was preparing for this speech, I came across a poem, and I don't know who the author is, but I feel that it is the essence of who she was. And I'd like to share that with you. If we live in the past or in the future, we miss what today has to offer. We miss the glistening beauty of a puddle of water. We miss the soothing melody of a love song. We miss the glint of wonder in a child's eyes. We miss the lingering aroma of fresh-baked cinnamon rolls. We miss the beautiful arrangement of clouds in the sky. This says so succinctly who she was and how she believed and that she found beauty in even the simplest things. I am honored to have known Susie. I am a better person and understand the value and honor of being a homemaker and a mother because I knew her. God bless you, Susie.